We're back on the ovals tonight after 2 weeks of road course action. The drivers are back in their element, and there'll be more than a few names itching to rekindle some lost form. It's time for the ANZCAR Cup Series to roll into the windy city of Chicago for 133 laps around Chicagoland Speedway. My name is Ryan Jones, and I'm joined by an ever-present force on the mic and eternal backmarker on track. It's Carl Withy.
Good evening, Ryan, and good evening, everybody else. I hope you are all well on this 4th of July weekend here at Chicagoland.
I think we lost Carl. It sets to be an absolute cracking race tonight. We got a full field of 30 drivers heading to the track, and some interesting times were set up in qualifying, which we'll run through that a bit later. Give a bit of an update on the weather for this track. It's a 41-degree track temp, which we're looking at is about 8 degrees hotter than what we faced in qualifying, so it's a bit of a challenge up for some of the drivers out there. Air temp at 23 degrees and 13 km/h winds to the west. Pretty decent conditions to go racing tonight. Should provide some great action and some flat-out action for the first couple laps of each run tonight.
Yeah, we should be in for a good race tonight, and sorry about that. My voice was just a little bit hoarse there for a moment, and my microphone was not picking me up. Yeah, we should be in for some very good action here tonight. Chicagoland tends to bring some good races. The tri-oval here is a bit of a tricky track to run sometimes. It's pretty much flat out for the first sort of few laps of your run. However, once you get past around about lap 10 to 15 here, you're going to need to start lifting off quite a lot, and grip can really become a problem.
Yeah, so I've been hearing from a number of drivers that the car handles quite alright, but it starts to get a bit sort of weird, sort of loose, as to use their exact quote there, as you get on the run. So it should be interesting to see what drivers use for their strategy for this race, whether they try and short pit and risk it with that loose sort of car towards the end of the race, or whether they try and run a bit long.
Well, I think we're going to see a few of the more experienced drivers try and keep those longer stints going. What I expect to see is a few drivers keeping those longer stints going because they're going to be able to hold the car there. What I've heard from a lot of drivers, and what I picked up just for a few test laps that I did earlier, was the car was pretty good for speed. Once you got past around about lap 30, the tyres didn't really drop off much speed. However, the grip became a real problem. So if you're able to keep the car in a straight, well, slightly curved line, obviously, then you're going to be okay. You're not going to be losing too much time out there. And we could see some of the more skilled individuals just staying out a little bit longer and trying to edge the stints towards a bit of a longer sort of point for them.
Talking of skilled individuals, what are your tips for this race then, Carl? Who's going to be able to make their mark here at Chicagoland Speedway?
Well, we're going to see the usual suspects up the front. The Mitch Motorsport are looking very strong at the moment. Also, Hageman Dodman ran quite well here last year, if I remember, in Thunder back when we were running the Thunder series for the Cup cars. So we could see some interesting drives from those guys. Dave Douglas was also very strong in practice, and with the Riley Motorsports team, they do run very well on these sort of faster ovals. People who can draft and side draft and sort of keep the car working together in that sort of respect. People with a few good teammates around them are going to do quite well here.
Yeah, Skurlock was talking up his chances pre-race, so I'm excited to see how he goes today. But someone else that set a very blistering quality time, and is currently fastest in this warm-up session, is Stove Price Jr. Now, a bit of background on Stove Price Jr. is we have absolutely no idea who he is, where he's from, or what he's doing. So it'll be very interesting to see how he runs tonight. We know he's certainly got one lap pace, and we're going to be very excited to see how he handles his car over the long run, whether he can hold off some experienced and well-respected names in NASCAR.
Yeah, it does appear Stove Price Jr. is in one of the German-Swiss sort of teams out there, and so probably somewhere from Europe, possibly Germany, that sort of area, I expect. And he's very fast, obviously. He was actually fastest in qualifying too, as well as being one of the front runners in this practice session. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes here. Of course, one of the big problems for him in, of course, online racing, sim racing, is ping. So it will be interesting to see how well that goes for him, because that could become a problem. Of course, we've got Ashton Crowder out there as well, driving from America, which usually has quite a high ping level as well. So if he can do quite well, which he does usually in this series, I imagine Stove Price won't have too many issues, but we'll have to see how that goes through the race.
And just quickly about that race, I did call the race as 133 laps in the intro. What I have just noticed is that the race is in fact 113 laps, so 20 laps shorter than anticipated, which might change the strategy for a number of drivers. The critical lap now is going to be lap 60 instead of 80, so it might change it into a bit of a one-stop if we have a load of cautions early on in the race. Otherwise, I do expect it will still be a two-stop race, but we're getting close to the cars forming up in the grid. So, Carl, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to run us through the grid for this race.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned before, on pole position we have Stove Price Jr. Just next to him is Ashton Crowder. On the second row we have Ashley Lear with Mitchell McLeod. On the third row we have Matt Danson with Michael Skurlock. Fourth row we've got Danny G with Josh Micklemore. Fifth row Jason Martin with Joshua Carroll Walden. Sixth row we have Jackson Callow and Chris Purnell. Seventh row Edward Foster and Mirko Dortnack. Eighth row Riley Curtis and Matthew Clurt. Then we have Hayden Dodman with Hamish Gallagher next to him. Andrew Morgridge with Darren McKenzie next to him. Kai Sloggett with Robert Mason next to him. And as I switch over my page here, Stephen Williams with Matthew Raymond, Dave Douglas and Tristan Koch, Mark Johnson, Michael Latter, Matt Morris, Norman Clark, and on the back we have Reese May, sorry.
Yep, 29 car field. It looks like 29 cars have jumped into the server, so we should see a one car below capacity grid for this race, which is going to prove to be an exciting one. The nature of this package and the nature of this track means they should be flat out for the first 3 laps of this run, which means we should see some very close racing, possibly some three wide racing, and dare I say it, 4 wide if someone's feeling very ambitious out there tonight. But I think we'll see a lot of guys closing up quickly and able to hang with some of the faster guys early on, and then I think once we get to about 15 laps in, we're going to see those fast guys start to edge away from the field.
Yeah, well, Illusion Motorsport were busy practicing their draft technique earlier on in the practice session. I did watch them for a fair few laps, just practicing their technique as they went around. And obviously, we've got some other teams out there with the Riley Curtis design team, Blokes Advice Racing, of course, and the aforementioned Mitch Motorsport, who are a very strong team and have got a couple of drivers quite high up in the order. So those guys are going to be working together, working hard to try and get their cars in a good position, try and get into a position where they can draft each other. And of course, as you say, they will be running pretty much flat out for the early stage of the race. As you go back through the field, though, they will be just lifting off a bit more because they'll be getting the effect of the draft, which is going to be very strong here tonight.
Yeah, that draft is going to be super strong tonight. It's going to be very important to try and stay in that slipstream effect of the car in front. But like I said, a bit later on the run, it's going to turn out to be a bit more of a 2018 style race, I would say. But the pace guys head down the back straight now. Any last thoughts on your predictions for this race before we get it underway, Carl?
Well, as I said before, I think Hayden Dodman might be one to watch out for tonight, but I expect we're going to see Dave Douglas up there as well. It could be interesting to see how well he runs, but never count out Jason Martin or Matt Danson.
There you go. There's our thoughts on the race. There's the pace car coming out of turn number 4. Going to come down. It's going to be in the hands of Stove Price Jr. Waiting for that green flag to fly. There goes Junior's got a fantastic start. They checked up a bit behind him. They're going to be 3 wide immediately off the start for second place with Crowder, Matt Danson and Michael Skurlock looking to go 3 wide there. We'll see who gets a better run through turn number 1. It's going to be Ashley Lear on the inside, that takes away second place. In behind's going to be Crowder, but he's going to get Matt Danson, get to his inside as I head down the back straight away as Skurlock settles into a comfortable 5th spot with the Mitch Motorsport teammates of Micklemore and Danny G side by side behind them as they're almost 3 wide again for second place, with Lear now getting swamped by Danson on the inside and Crowder on the outside. Danson trying to get that run now. The caution's out. There's trouble somewhere back in the back.
Yeah, we've got a few cars off, quite a few cars. I see Robert Mason just having a brief moment. A few cars sliding across the infield. Darren McKenzie's got quite a lot of damage on the front of his car, so that's not looking good for him. And I believe I saw Dave Douglas as well going across the infield for a moment there. I'm going to jump back and see if I can actually catch what happened there. So we'll try and get a replay up for you. We're going to be looking at Dave Douglas, see what happened at the start of the race there. Obviously, the mid-pack can get very cramped very quickly on this track, and it is very easy to get sort of in a position where mistakes happen one of the biggest problems on a track like this is when you're going at speed, you do of course have a lot of aero happening, and when the car in front of you pulls in front of you, you have a little bit of drop on your front aerodynamics, and that can cause a lot of problems.
It certainly can. We're going to see a bunch of people now dive into the pit lane to try and get rid of some of that damage they've got on their cars. It looks like most of the front runners have stayed out, as you'd expect after this one lap. The quite number of cars in the pit lane looks like maybe 3, 4, 5 cars down the lane. Maybe even more than that, 7.
Yeah, we've got quite a few early stoppers at the moment. Now, one of the things on this circuit that a lot of drivers were finding were tyres were pretty good for around 20-ish laps or so. After that, though, they dropped off a cliff and just grip was just falling away from them. And we might see a few people just coming in early, rolling the dice, see if they can actually get a few sort of positions later on in the race. Of course, if this does go green for a fair bit from now on, they'll be on slightly fresher tyres, which will just help them out for a little bit of the longer run stint.
Yeah, it might do, of course. It's only going to be about 1 lap fresher tyres, not even 1 lap for a lot of the field. So I'm not expecting it to make much of a difference. I do think most of that, or all of those cars down in pit lane will be down there to get rid of some of that damage they picked up on that wreck. And did you manage to find out what exactly occurred back there, Carl?
No, I haven't. Unfortunately, my system is playing up, which is always fun. So I've not found the incident as of yet. I'm still trying to go through and find out exactly what happened. I will let you know if I actually get this working, though.
I would love to help. The glories of sim racing means you've got to rely on your own personal computer, and my computer does not want to render that many cars, so unfortunately I can't help you out there. Hopefully we've got a replay up for you guys though, and you can see it back at home.
It is a joyous thing with the rendering of cars, unfortunately. When I was running the cameras, it could often cause a problem. But I have actually got it working finally, so I will let you know as soon as I get to that part of the track. Just watching back with Dave Douglas at the moment. I think our producer was trying to get the camera up on him. And it just... So it just looks like one of the middle finger cars got involved, and...
That'd be Matty Clowett.
I think it was Mitchell McLeod maybe that went completely over. He was on his roof at one stage. So yeah, a big crash there at the back of the pack. A lot of people actually managing to avoid it though, so quite a few people managed to get lucky and not involved in that wreck.
Yeah, that's always very good not to see the entire field taken out, which you saw last time we went out racing on an oval. Unfortunately, there's one car still on the pit lane, that's Andrew Mogridge, who was not going to have a very good race today. Hopefully he can get that damage fixed, not go more than 1 lap down, and you get the lucky dog go on and stay in this race. While we're under caution, while we've got not much going on, not much to analyse in the first lap of the race, while we're talking about Dave Douglas, there's some rumours going about that I've heard from a very reliable source, so we'll say, that Dave Douglas may be looking to switch teams, quite possibly. Maybe a bit of a shock move to Mitch Motorsport. Maybe replace Jason Martin, Cheers and Champion. Or maybe he'll come down to Racing Oz and maybe be teammates with me. So we'll see how our silly season goes. Just throw those rumours out there for you guys in on the loop. Of course, we're seeing some rumours circulating on the F1 world as well, with Ricciardo maybe going to Ferrari. I wouldn't say that's very likely, but maybe ANZCAR a bit of a silly season of its own there with Dave Douglas. What do you think about that, Carl?
You've always got to love the silly season, always capable of pulling up some crazy ideas. I honestly don't think we're going to see Mitch Motorsport splitting from Jason Martin, who's a fantastic driver. The pace car lights have gone out though, and Andrew Mogridge is back on the track as well. I believe it was him on his roof, unfortunately, but he is on the track now, so good news for him. We'll be coming round and getting ready to go back to green flag racing very, very shortly.
Won't be too long now. It's still going to be Price Jr. that leads them away. Joliet has got himself up to 2nd place, and Danson's up into 3rd. Crowder in 4th. They've all had decent starts. We'll see whether they shake themselves up. Hopefully they don't all check up again like they did last start. It'll be Price Jr. controlling the field once again. We see like Constantina up, and there goes Junior. It's got a good start. He's going to clear the field, and there's someone back in the pack. I think that's Hayden Godwin's going to split the field pretty wide. A fantastic start from him. As Matt Danson's going to clear Ashulea down to number 1, and now Godwin's going to get to the outside of Martin further back. And there's almost contact with Skurlock, and sorry, who's that? That's Mitchell McLeod. That was very close. That was Ashulea, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, Ashley Lear got very close there for a couple of moments. Some good reactions from the rest of the field. Matt Danson's managed to get it up into 2nd though, and he's looking to get past Stove Price Jr. right now. He's just on the outside of Stove Price as they go through across the start-finish line, and it looks like Matt Danson is trying his best to hold on around the outside at the moment, and he might get him here, but Michael Skurlock and Ashton Crowder are sort of getting up close as well, so we've got some really good racing up the front of the field.
Yeah, this is that flat-out racing, that slipstream, super important early on in this race. We're going to see a lot of this off every restart tonight, and now Matt Danson's got that move done. Crowder's gone with him as well, and Bryce Jr.'s lost the lead of this race, going to go back to third place, maybe even back to fourth. As up the run, that Crowder's got a Matt Danson out of the outside of turn one. On board with Crowder, he looks to the outside of Matt Danson around turn one, looking to get the run off turn number two, going to cut back down, get into that slipstream. Is right behind him. There's a move as well for Skurlock to the outside, and a bump to the back of Danson goes. Ashton Crowder's front bumper is a 2x2 for third and fourth, fifth and sixth.
Yeah, some great racing there and a really good positioning for Matt Danson. He's managed to get up to the front of the field along with Ashton Crowder. Those two work well together. Stove Price Jr. is still holding on back in third place by the looks of it at the moment, but Michael Skurlock is getting there. These two, Ashton Crowder and Matt Danson, of course, do work very well together and work very closely together. So I imagine they're going to try and get away from the field as much as they can. If Stove Price Jr. stays where he is, they might be able to just get a little bit of a break away from him. We have got a bit of a second pack forming back with Edward Foster. Edward Foster back from Chris Purnell. There's a big gap between those two. And yeah, we've got a big gap between 9th and 10th right now.
Yeah, there's three wide racers back in the pack. They're all still scrapping hard for positions and back out front. It's all steady as she goes. They're all still single file. Maybe Price Jr., bit of an experience. He's not able to really suck up to the back of Crowder and Matt Danson. Maybe he's not really trying to manufacture a run. And now he's going a bit high off the exit of turn number 4. That might give an advantage to Skurlock, but Jr.'s going to hold on for now. They're still all single file. All of them looking out for that draft, snaking their way around the circuit.
Yeah, we're pretty much single file all the way down back to sort of Chris Purnell down in 14th place. There we've got some 2x2 action side by side as we go through the corners, and we have just had a little bit of a moment for Riley Curtis just down the back. He just caught the wall slightly. But Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder just breaking the draft slightly from Stove Price, just pulling away a little bit. And they're going to want to try and get as quickly away as possible as Ashley Lear starts climbing his way back up again, with Josh Micklemore next to him.
Yeah, as soon as Micklemore and Ashley got side by side, a bit of a gap of about 10, 15 car lengths opened up between Skurlock and Micklemore. Really helping. Oh no, Junior's got into the wall off of turn 2 and he's going to head down to the inside of the truck. He's going to keep it going at a straight line. We're going to stay going, but that's going to put a big dent into his chances in this race. We're really disappointed in that he is. As we see Micklemore, Leah, Danny G, Munn, and Dobman all go streaming past him with Leah out of the inside of Josh Micklemore, and Dobman's going to split them 3 wide behind.
Yeah, big mistake there for Stove Price, but he managed to hold it, which is all important right now. Of course, you're not going to win the race in the first couple of laps, but you can, of course, lose it. And that little bit of damage could cost him the race victory here, but he's still got speed. The car's not looking too bad as he gets up right behind Hayden Dodman and just gives him a little bit of a tap just to say, I am here, I'm coming past you.
Yeah, he might have gotten away with it. He might not have too much damage to that car. Well, I'm just going to have a look for you guys to see how that front right is looking for Stove Price Jr. And I can tell you, it's not actually that bad. He had a big reaction getting off that wall, heading down to the inside of the track, but he might have gotten away with it, because he's certainly sticking with them now.
But what that has done is just let Michael Skurlock pull away from Josh Micklemore, and it's given Matt Danson, Ashton Crowder and Michael Skurlock a nice bit of a buffer zone between himself and Josh Micklemore, giving that top 3 a little bit of breathing room at the moment.
That little bit of action as Price Jr. went back through the pack has allowed Edward Foster and Co to close up behind him, but now Jr. looks like he might be under a bit of pressure with that front right aero damage now from Foster, he's very experienced. I'm sure he'll set up a good run here, maybe back himself up in the Walden to try and catapult himself past that 2 car, as the 2 Talking Motorsport boys are now line of stern, with Dodman maybe looking to the inside of Lee down in turn number 3. That's not going to happen.
No, and just I want to mention, just as I've not mentioned it for a couple of races, just E53 himself, Mr. Edward Foster, just running the Legacy paint scheme, the Legacy scheme to help injured servicemen and families of servicemen, a charity that can help them out indeed. He's running that paint scheme for that charity, so if you'd like to help them out, please visit their website. But yeah, we've got some good racing through the field as we go. Still a couple of people side by side a little bit further down the pack. We've got people like Chris Purnell busy racing down in 15th place. But the front at the moment is dominated by Matt Danson, who is just sailing away. Ashton Crowder's just keeping right behind him, and now Michael Skurlock has just dropped off a bit from them and is falling back to the clutches of Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, Dobman's got the move done on Ashley Lear now, and see if he can pull away from one of those talking boys. A locked in battle with these identical fixed setups, of course, as Junior's going to get a bit high off turn 2 again. He's going to have to check up this time. This is going to give the run to Edward Foster, the 53 car. Down to the inside he goes, down the back straightaway. He should be able to get this move done pretty easily. And now the caution has come out. There's an incident on the track, and again, I don't know where it is.
Down the back of the field, we've got a few cars in trouble. Just trying to have a look to see who it is.
It's Tristan Koch, Robert Mason there sideways.
Darren McKenzie looks like he's caught a bit of damage. We've got a fair few cars involved in that one. I'll try and jump back and see exactly what happened there. But yeah, quite a few cars just caught up in that accident, unfortunately. So it just looks like, Tristan Koch has just been taken out by, I believe it was Robert Mason may have got caught up in that. And trying to see who the other chap was in there, one of the Gears of War racing cars.
Yeah, Robert Mason's just overdriven the entry to turn number 1, and unfortunately for Tristan Koch, he was to the outside of Mason, and as he's overdriven the corner, he's gone straight into that left rear. And these cars are so on edge that you really can't afford to cop a tap into that part of the car, and around they both went. But while the caution is out, the driver's now going to filter into the pits on that 18 to get some fresh rub onto their cars.
Yeah, the driver's going to be very happy about this. It's just around that lap 18 where the tyres are going to start going off, and everybody's been not having fun on these cars with that sort of slightly longer run. As soon as you get to around lap 20, the cars just slide around. But we're coming in. Matt Danson pulls into his pit stop. Nice stop by him. Ashton Crowder as well. Perfect stops for them. Looks like everybody's had a pretty good pit stop. We'll keep our eyes on the front. Matt Danson will be shortly getting away. And we'll just keep an eye on who gets out first at the moment. And it looks like it's going to be Matt Danson. He's got a fantastic pit stop. Ashton Crowder has done well. He's managed to keep in the second place. Skurlock in third. Jason Martin looks to have had a very good pit stop indeed, and possibly jumped his teammates of Danny G and Josh Mickelmore.
Good pit stop for those guys here, and if this race was to go green to the end now, this will open it up to be a straight one stop at around lap 70, and then through to the end from there. So it opens up the race now to be a one stop from here, but I dare say we might get a few more cautions in this race.
One of the things
what do you think of the racing early on?
Sorry, Ryan, just one of the things I would say is a few of the drivers I spoke to said they were only getting around about 50 to 60 laps of fuel mileage out there. So we might be seeing people having to pick just at least for some fuel in this race now. And also people were really struggling on those tyres towards the end of it. So I don't know if we'll see anyone try and brave it out on a single stint. I don't think anyone will manage it from this part of the race, unfortunately.
A one-stop car, meaning you do your 50-lap stint from here, takes you to lap number 70, you come in, you do your one-stop, and then you have what do you got there? You got a 43-lap run to the end. That's what I was getting at, Carl.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one. Yeah, so one more stop from here, absolutely. The early start of that race, very interesting. We had some new faces up there, which is always good, and it was nice to see people like Ashley Lear and also one of our new drivers there, Stove Price, up the front of the field for once. Having some new faces up there is always good. It's nice to see people be able to jump in and actually do relatively well. Of course, the big thing to remember is it can be easy to jump into these cars and go relatively fast. It's keeping that speed over a couple of laps, keeping that speed over 100 and so laps. It becomes very difficult to do that.
Yeah, it certainly does. Maybe a bit of inexperience for Junior that saw him get up into that wall as tyres started to wear out on him just a little bit. Another thing that having some fresh faces at the front of the order does for us is it metals us up as commentators because we've got no idea who they are. So you're going to bear with me for a second. I've muddled up a few names already in this race. But for the most part, we're back in our element tonight. We're back on the ovals. No more getting the corner names mixed up. If you get turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 mixed up, yeah, probably shouldn't be making it as a commentator. So I'm happy. I'm happy we're back on an oval tonight, Carl. What about you?
Well, I do expect you to mishap and call number 1, number 2, or number 3 at some stage. But one of the other things that's happened tonight is there are some new paint schemes out there, which has just thrown me off slightly. So a couple of drivers have just shown some new paint schemes, which has just sort of thrown me out slightly. So of course, when that happens, it completely throws you off the some of the drivers too. But happy to be back on the ovals at last.
So the top 5 for this restart is going to be Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder, the Silton Crowder teammates, running off the front row with Skurlock and Jason Martin off row 2, all Mitch Motorsport for row 3 of their Danny G and Josh McMore. And just playing behind them actually is Torque Inc. Motorsport. So we'll see whether any of these teammates can work together to try and manufacture a slipstream and get by Danson and Crowder, who are really going to be the guys to beat in this race, as the pace car looks to get down off turn number 4 once again.
Yeah, and they're forming up side by side once more. Matt Danson's going to be leading them across the start-finish line to go back to green flag racing in a couple of moments. And everybody's just starting to wind the cars up. We'll be going back to green very, very shortly. And Matt Danson's coming down, and away we go, back to green. Good jump by Jason Martin. Jason Martin gets a fantastic start there. Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder just a little bit caught off guard maybe, but Jason Martin absolutely pounced on them. A really good start from him. Matt Danson has managed to keep in the lead, but Ashton Crowder's just been muscled out a little bit and fallen behind Michael Skurlock.
And they're 3 wide now. The Talking guys taking Jason Martin 3 wide. Michael Skurlock gave a fantastic push to the back of Matt Danson, which propelled him past those other guys behind him. But now they're going to be single file for the top 2 spots as they go side by side. Micklemore to the inside of Ashton Crowder, who's had a terrible restart there. Back to P number 4 almost, as the Talking boys have both picked up Jason Martin and Danny G. Not a fantastic start for those guys either. Danny G goes back another spot now into turn number 1 as Crowder gets to move down around the outside. Josh Micklemore, fantastic run. And now he's going to run a Michael Skurlock as well down to the inside for turn number 3.
And we have just had a couple of cars just have a moment down at the back of the field, but we have managed to keep green, so away we keep going. One of the drivers that has actually not really paid off for in that restart was Jason Martin, who got a fantastic launch, but he was just left out of the slipstream and has just fallen back a little bit.
And now we're seeing the Crowder and Danson partnership working together once again. I doubt we'll see a move from Crowder, although he has got to his outside now, but it doesn't look like he's gone on with it. And now that's going to pull everyone else up to the back of Ashton Crowder. Skurlock going to head down to the inside. A bit of a momentum push there from Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin, but no move going to be able to be manufactured through those 2 corners. So if he can hang on down the inside, he's not going to be able to. He's got no help behind, does Michael Skurlock, and Danson's still pretty comfortable out front.
Yeah, some good running by those guys, and there are a couple of cars just struggling towards the back a little bit, but really good positioning also by Josh Micklemore there. He's flying his way through, and Jason Martin's just helping push him along as well as they come flying up past Michael Skurlock. Really good drafting by those two. They're going to want to try and catch Danson and Crowder before they try and leap away from the field.
Yes, someone's got to put a stop to this partnership with Danson and Crowder, because it's really going to put everyone else on the cutting block tonight if they can keep this up for the entire 113 laps. As Jason Martin's still only on the inside of Skurlock, he can't quite get the move done. He's got no help from behind, and he's not in the draft of Micklemore in front, so he's going to lose out now. Down into turn number 3, and Skurlock's going to retake P number 4, as Ashley Leo's got back in front of Hayden Dodman for P number 6 as well.
Yeah, good run so far from Ashley Lear, doing a good job running with Hayden Dodman as well. Those two are doing a good drive tonight. It's good to see Hayden Dodman back in an oval race as well, because you see Hayden on the street circuits quite often, but not so much on the ovals, and he can be quite good on these circuits.
He can be, as he's now just been overtaken by Danny G to the outside of turn number 3. Danny G with a bit more of a run than Hayden Dodman. He had a bit of a check-up come off turn 2, which really hurt him, and now we should see Ashley Lear does in fact dive to the very bottom of the track and gives his teammate a bit of a tow, which should help him to turn 1. And he should be able to get the move done, but he can't quite do it. He has a bit of a slide and almost into the side of Danny G. Very good driving to avoid getting to the side of the 24 car there. And missed it.
Oh, right, we have had a moment at the back. We've got a big moment. Kai Sloggett, Matthew Raymond, quite a few cars involved in a big crash towards the back of the grid there. We are back under yellow. So I'll jump back and see exactly what happened there if I can. Quite a few cars involved in that incident, unfortunately. So we may lose a couple of cars. So we've got the replay. So Kai Sloggett just gets up into the wall and unfortunately goes into the side of Raymond. And then a couple of cars just hit Sloggett. Bit of a nasty accident there. Unfortunately, that's going to cost a few people a chance of running well tonight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we're seeing the number of wrecks occurring at the back of the field. Maybe a bit of those guys toward the back, not quite as experienced, and maybe not giving where they should be, where they. I can't get my words out. You know what I'm trying to say? They're maybe pushing a bit too hard back there, Carl, and not really thinking about the long run of this race, and as a result, they're getting involved in a number of wrecks early on in this race.
Yeah, I think people are being caught out by the fact these tyres go off so quickly. One of the things I noticed when I was doing a few runs earlier in the day was the tyres were just dropping off a cliff after that sort of 10, 11 lap stint. And surprise, surprise, after 10 laps, we have a car just go up into the wall. The thing is, you get a huge amount of understeer when those tyres go off, and all of a sudden you're running flat out perfectly fine, and then the next lap, snap, and you're into the wall. It was so easy to do. But we're back into the pit lane now. We've got Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder in the lead still. We'll see if they retain these leads as they come out of the pit stops. Ashton Crowder does just get a little bit of an odd positioning for his stop, but he manages to keep it into relatively good position. Matt Danson gets out first. It looks like Skurlock's managed to get out into third place. Just looking back a little bit further, Jason Martin's fallen back maybe a little bit. Everybody's pretty much stayed in their sort of same positions as they were across the line. No big incidents that I could see in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's a good stop there for Michael Skurlock, who's retaken P3 from Josh Mickelmore, which will break up that Mitch Motorsport partnership. If Skurlock had stayed in fourth, it would have been Danny G giving a push to the back of Josh Mickelmore, but as it happens, they'll now be starting on opposite sides of the grid, I should say.
Yeah, it's going to mix up those Mitch Motorsport cars a little bit. It will put him into a relatively good position behind the leader as well. So he'll want to try and get a very good restart.
I do wonder whether we'll see maybe Skurlock or Josh Mickelmore be a bit more aggressive off this restart and really try to get in between Matt Danson or Ashton Crowder and stay there, or maybe get in front of both of them and break up that partnership, because we've seen off the start of this race and off the last two restarts, it's been almost impossible to beat for these guys. They're battling away behind themselves, and those top two just streaking away out front.
Well, we did see last restart Jason Martin getting a very good leap as it went green. Ashton Crowder and Matt Danson were just a little bit slow on the reaction there. So it could be that they're just trying to back the pack up a little bit and get a better leap. And that can sometimes cause cars a little bit further down the field, sort of in sort of row 3 and 4, just to get a slightly better run. Of course, what happens now is there's been a few restarts in this race, so people know what they're doing. People have got a feel of how they're starting the race, how they're starting the runs, and they'll know what to look for on the restart. So what they have to do now is Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder have to sort of talk to each other, have to work out what they're going to do for this restart, have to try and figure out what they're going to do with themselves, see if they're going to change up their restart position, see if they're going to change up their restart start, to try and throw off the rest of the field and get a bit of a leap on an advantage on everybody else.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one to see how they pan out. We have got one retirement from this race now, unfortunately, which is Kyle Sloggett has retired from this race from P28. So I'd say we see Darren McKenzie back on track later. If he can get back on track, he will retake 28th away from him. But we got one car lap down, which is the 2-car Junior, who's in the pit lane, so he's got a bit of damage from that previous crash, which is unfortunate for our pole sitter.
Yes, and Darren McKenzie is back on track as we speak, so he's going to get a little bit of a position up. A guy to actually mention is just Andrew Mogridge, who was on his roof earlier on in this race. He has managed to get back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, back up into 26th, and Mogridge, we saw him make his debut in ANZCAR last week in the Thunder Series at Road Atlanta? Road America, actually, sorry, where he had a pretty decent result. He managed to hold off Jason Martin for a little while in that race, so pretty impressed with him from that. And now we're seeing him make his oval debut here in Chicagoland. He's a good road racer. Don't know how he goes on an oval. I know he was hunting for some tips on strategy from me earlier today. He's my teammate after all. So I'm excited to see how he goes. I gave him a few tips, so we'll see whether he can stay out of trouble and put on a good result as we're looking to get this race back underway. It's going to be Matt Danson that's going to lead them off once this pace car drops down and gets out of the way of this hungry pack of 26 cars still on the lead lap. As we wait for the green flag, we wait for Danson to go. They all check up behind him, and that's very ugly. They're 3-4 wide. Danson gets a good start. Dobman with an excellent start again. They're 4 wide back in the pack. It's absolute calamity going on through the field. They're 3 wide now for P number 3 as Skurlock's got through into second place, and Danny G is going to follow him through on the inside. Hayden Dobman's going to slot into 4th as Jason Martin tries to get to the outside of Edward Foster, where he's come from. He's up into 5th place now as Skurlock gets onto the back of Matt Danson, but Danson's going to cover that inside, and he's not going to be able to get down beneath him. It's now Jason Martin with a run around the outside of Foster, and Crowder's gone all the way back to P number 7. What a disastrous start for him.
Yeah, real disaster for Crowder, and that was what I was saying. The guys at the front were sort of backing up quite a lot and sort of checking up at the start. A guy that really sort of cost quite dearly for was Ashley Lear, who got a bit of a jump on the start because he wasn't expecting everyone to be so slow, and he's dropped back quite a bit as well. He's currently down in 11th at the moment, so a bit of a disaster for Ashley Lear as well, who was having a good run up until that point. But Matt Danson has managed to keep the lead, but he has lost his running partner in the form of Crowder. So it will be interesting to see how they go from here on. Edward Foster getting a good jump up the pack as well, so he's going to be pretty happy with that. But the guy that's looking good at the moment is Skurlock.
Yeah, my pick for today's race, Skurlock doing pretty well early on. He's up into P number 2, and he's doing a good job to stay with Danton out there. They were just 3 wide the moment ago as you were talking into turn number 1. And Jason Martin threw a bit of a block on Ashton Crowder, so we wanted to see that partnership of Danton and Crowder get broken up, and it's certainly been broken up now. And I dare say that 21 car is very, very keen on keeping that 27 behind him and not allowing him to get anywhere closer to Matt Danson. As we're just watching Foster, oh, that's a bit awkward. He got very high up into the track, almost ran into the left rear of Josh Mickelmore, but he did a good job to avoid it. And now it's going to check up Mirko Dornack, Chris Purnell, who is up in behind him, and Mitch McLeod's going to get up to his inside as Martin now gets down to the inside of Hayden Dobman further up the field, up into the P number 4.
Yeah, a good run at the moment for the Mitch Motorsport boys. They've got Danny G and Jason Martin running relatively high up there. Hayden Dodman's looking good as well, currently sitting in the sort of back P5 area. But Ashton Crowder is now chasing him down and trying his best to get back up the field. He is putting the pedal to the metal at the moment, just coming down on the inside of Jason Martin. Down on the inside he goes with Josh Mickelmore on his back, just helping push that car along and not helping his teammate there too much by pushing Ashton Crowder forwards a little bit.
Bit of a strange one there, but Josh Mickelmore not playing a team game just yet, trying to make up some positions for himself, every man for himself at the moment from Mitch Motorsports, as Gerlock and Danson put about 2 car lengths with Danny G, who really screwed up the entry to turn number 1 there, and he's going to lose out now to Ashton Crowder. Willie Crowder's about on his door as they head down the back straight. Danny G's in the draft though, and now it's going to be Ashton Crowder that gets the draft and the shorter line through 3 and 4, which he should prevail, as he's got Jason Martin giving him the push as well. Danny G's being hung out to dry by his teammate. So yeah, the Mitch Motorsport guys really not playing ball with each other right now.
No, they're sort of moving around a little bit. They might be trying to shuffle their cars into a slightly better position to try and work together a little bit as this run goes on a little bit longer, if this run goes on a little bit longer, of course. We have seen a few cautions out so far, but the Mitch Motorsport boys are just working a little bit to try and shuffle their cars into the pack, try and get all 3 of their cars together maybe. But this has allowed Ashton Crowder to get back up into 3rd place. So a brilliant run back up the field for him after a disastrous restart.
Yeah, Crowder showing his speed and experience. So of course, he's a Peak Series driver. He runs in the top level of iRacing NASCAR competition. So not too surprised to see him recover pretty quickly from that disastrous restart. As we see now for P number 4, Josh Mickelmore gets to run on Danny G down to the inside for turn number 3. As Jason Martin almost gets overtaken and might well get overtaken by Hayden Dobman around the outside. As Danny G gets back down to the inside of Mickelmore. Edward Foster's just in behind these guys, just biding his time for now, just sitting off the back of them, waiting to see who's going to have the better run and who he should maybe follow through the field here.
Yeah, Foster's sitting back there. He's just waiting to see what happens, maybe not looking to push up too fast. There's no point in racing these guys too hard early on in this race because it's only going to cause trouble. The harder you race, of course, the harder you work your tyres, and the quicker your tyres will just fall off that cliff as well. As I say, they're not really surviving much past about lap 15, but if you can get the tyres lasting a little bit longer than you expect, that can always be handy.
Yeah, they're still squabbling for P number 4, and what it's doing is it's allowing that top three set of drivers of Danson, Skurlock and Crowder to really edge away from them now, as that pack of about 4 cars is about 7 car lengths over Chris Purnell, who's in 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, and a person that's paying off for is actually Hayden Dodman, who's just getting past Danny G at the moment, and he's working his way back up the field. He's sort of sitting around the fifth, sixth place at the moment, but it is allowing Matt Danson, Skurlock, and Crowder to pull away again. Again, it's working out well for Skurlock. He's just able to keep in with these front cars. Skurlock has been very fast tonight.
Yeah, he's had some good race starts as well, getting a lot of momentum off the green flag, which has helped him a lot as well. We've seen how important these restarts are, unless you're Ashton Crowder, because you can just get back to the field if you want to anyway. But that top three is closing up a bit more now, which could provide us with some interesting racing in just a moment's time, as Danny G got very close to the wall there, coming off turn number 4, almost squeezed up into it by Hayden Dodman, who's still working on getting that move complete on him. And he won't get it done through turn number 1 and 2. He's just lost a jar to Josh Mickelmore, and that's now going to be Danny G, who gets run off turn number 2, and he's going to clear him down the back straight away, and Jason Martin's going to try and slot him behind him, but Dodman's going to come up the track in front, and Martin wisely backs out of the throttle.
Yeah, good positioning for those guys, and we've got a bit of a battle going on back behind them as well with a few other cars, but the battle from fourth down is really working out well at the moment, all the way down to Edward Foster, and Chris Purnell's actually catching on this pack as well, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. Dave Douglas as well, guy that's had a bit of a misfortunate start, has actually worked his way up the field and is actually back into 11th place at the moment, so a really good run from Dave Douglas. And at the front, we've just got Ashton Crowder going down underneath Skurlock and back into second place. And he's going to want to try and get back onto the back of Matt Danson and continue his partnership with him, getting those cars nice and working together. Meanwhile, we've got Danny G just getting into the front of that pack of cars with Josh Mickelmore, Dodman and Martin.
Yeah, Crowder got that move done very quickly, 4 tenths quicker than Michael Skurlock on that lap, so he would have backed the car up, got a big run. Danson may have played a part in that role and backed the Skurlock up and was able to execute that move pretty easily in the end. As they're still side by side for P number 5, it's been a good battle for this one, and Jason Martin might try to make it 3 wide. He's probably going to sit in behind him, as Danny G is going to be hoping they stay side by side, and he can maybe try and open up a gap as Dobbin completes that move. And Jason Martin's going to try and follow him through on the inside, and Mickelmore's going to go backwards.
Yes, and Mickelmore's just going to drop back into the clutches of Foster once again. Dave Douglas is sort of catching up on these guys as well with... he's sort of catching up a little bit on the rest of this pack now, which will be good for Foster, of course, them two being teammates at the moment, possibly for the last time this season if the rumours are true. So we'll see what happens there. But there is a bit of a gap forming down towards Mitchell McLeod. Mitchell McLeod and then Marco Dortnack, quite a big gap from 10th to 12th place now, so those guys are falling back a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of gaps starting to open up in the field now as a few drivers start to realise that these grip levels are going to reduce pretty drastically here, and we'll see these drivers aren't flat out anymore. The times have dropped off by almost a second now from the restart, so definitely starting to hurt now.
Yeah, these cars are starting to get a little bit loose, and this is the problem people are having, is the cars are getting very loose on the rear, and you can see all of these drivers just struggling with the exit of the corner. The back of the car is just wanting to step out on them every single lap going through turns 2 and turn 4. The cars are really sort of stepping out a bit on those really sort of fast exits going on towards a bit of a straight.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be turn 2 and turn 4. They're the trouble spots if the cars are indeed getting a bit loose on this track. As Josh Mickelmore's really struggling now. He's not quite adapting to these reduced grip levels if that's what they're experiencing out there. And Edward Foster in that legacy paint scheme has now got onto the back of him. And I dare say you might see a move from the 53 car in the not too distant future now. So 31 really going backwards throughout this pack.
Yeah, it's going to... We're on board with Foster now, so we'll see how he's going and coping with this slight reduction in grip. Knowing Foster as I do, he's usually pretty good on a slightly less grippy car, and he's doing well as he comes down underneath Josh Mickelmore, trying to get on the inside line, and Mickelmore just closes the door, manages to keep him behind, and Mickelmore just gets a slight bit of opposite lock. Behind him, Chris Purnell as well gets a bit loose, but Foster's keeping the car relatively good at the moment as they come through. And it looks like Foster's just dropped a little bit from Mickelmore, but he might just be dropping off to try and get a little bit of a better exit to try and get the leap on him through the tri-oval section.
What you saw last lap when we were on board with Foster there was how important how big that draft is. He got a huge run and closed up massively and almost was able to get to the inside of Mickelmore through turn 1. And you can see the back of the cars aren't that stable. There's a bit of a correction going on as they come out of turn number 2 and turn number 4. As up in front, you can see Jason Martin's now going to get to the inside of Hayden Dodman, and he might complete that move. He should complete that move. Martin should. He's got the most experience. He's going to get a run off turn number 4 is Hayden Dodman. He's going to stay alongside him for now.
Yeah, Dotman and Martin are pretty big rivals. Sometimes they had a few good seasons together, and basically it was a bit of a battle to see who could win, other than Dodman and Martin for a bit. And they know each other well, but right here, Jason Martin tends to have the advantage on these ovals. He's just got that little bit more experience on these oval circuits. Tends to find it a little bit more to his comfort zone, a little bit more to his liking.
Back out front as well with a 1.8 second gap back to Michael Skolak. Matt Danton and Ashton Crowder separated by 1.5 tenths. Crowder's really closed up to the back of Danton. We might see a change of position between these guys soon. Crowder might just be a bit tired of playing that team game now, with the field about 2 seconds behind them now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here to see what Crowder does. Of course, the other thing with the car in front, it's going to be using a little bit more fuel than the car behind it, so they might want to try and swap positions to try and eke out their stints a little bit. Not that it makes a big difference, but it can gain you a bit of about half a lap to a lap towards the end of a stint.
Yeah, it's really a bit of a trade-off. Do you want to pit early and struggle a bit more towards the end of the race, or do you want to pit later, cut your losses now, and maybe hope the drop-off isn't quite as bad, and then really come back at the field later on in the race with fresher tyres than the rest of the field? And that's where a bit of the strategy game comes. Only one stop in this race, we suspect, from here if it goes green, but still a fair amount of strategy to play into this race.
Yeah, people are going to want to try and make it last as long as possible, I think. Keep out there as long as they can keep their skill out there, because you don't really want to go pitting. If there is a caution as you pit, it can really throw off your race and ruin it. If you're managing to keep those tyres to a point where you're happy driving them, as Crowder goes down the inside of Matt Danson, and he's going to hold on to the inside line, and he's just pulling away. It looks like he's got the position taken. Matt Danson's holding the outside line, though, and he's going to try and power it through the outside line, but Crowder has got the inside line going through the tri-oval. Looks like he's got the move pretty much done. Danson's still holding on, though. Good little battle here for first place.
Yeah, that's far from done for Ashton Crowder. Danson's going to get the run off turn 2, as we saw at the exit of turn number 4, and get a run down the back straight, but he might have just screwed it up a little bit. Not quite as big of a run as he'd expected there from Matt Danson. You can see he drove it in quite deep there into turn number 3, but he won't get a good burst of speed through the middle of the corner. They'll hurt him off turn number 4. We'll see whether he can get back into the draft the Crowder and come back at that 27 car.
Yeah,
Go on, Carl.
Sorry, Ryan. But Matt Danson is always usually good on his tyres as well, so that's something to look for. If Matt Danson starts struggling out there, then expect to see a few people coming in.
Yeah, we're probably maybe 10 or so laps away from being able to make it home from your pit stop. So I dare say it won't be too long. Maybe at lap 70, I think, or maybe even lap 60. Yeah, lap 60 is probably the... Oh, Dave Douglas has got a huge snap, and Edward Foster in front of him as well. A couple of cars struggling out there. Foster went down to the went down through the... Oh, no, Douglas. Oh, that was very close. I don't know how those two guys haven't wrecked. They're going off to number 4. Foster and Douglas both got loose. Foster went down onto the grass. Douglas corrected it very well. And then as Foster came back up onto the track through the tri-oval, Douglas got squeezed up into the side of Tristan Koch and got loose and won us again, but they saved it again, and good racing there from the 10 and the 53.
Yeah, just as Douglas went back on the track, Mitchell McLeod was closing very quickly on him, and I actually thought we were going to see a big crash there, but McLeod managed to get the car slowed down in time, and Douglas managed to keep his car sort of in that position and slow McLeod down. So good driving from those two, managing to keep the cars in some sort of shape as they went off there. But this is the problem, these cars are really not liking these longer stints.
Yeah, most cars don't tend to like running around on older tyres and less fuel, because you've got the least amount of grip, but you've got the least amount of fuel in the back of that car, pushing it down into the track, so the car wants to sort of get up in the air, and there's not as much downforce being generated by having a heavy fuel in the back of the car, which is very annoying. as a driver, but it does produce some very interesting races sometimes. As there's a battle for third place now, Jason Martin up onto the inside of Michael Scott. He goes very high up the track through 3 and 4, maybe trying to get a momentum run off 4, or maybe it's giving that spot to Jason Martin, not wanting to fight this late on in the run, and it looks like he just didn't want to fight this late on in the run, as the 21 car is going to take P3 away from the 350, the Illusion car of Michael Skerlock.
Yeah, Skerlock's been running that high line pretty much all race as well, so I think he likes it a little bit more on that higher line. And Jason Martin has just been trying to run the slightly tighter line, so it seems that slightly tighter line is a bit faster, of course, as you go shorter, the shortest distance around the track. But Jason Martin is just pulling away now. Maybe he was just holding back a little bit, keeping some of the tyre life in reserve, because he's definitely got some speed over Michael Skerlock.
Yeah, through 1 and 2, there's a number of drivers running a higher line. Danton and Crowder aren't one of those drivers. They're both running the low line all the way around this track. But as you look down at the order, we see more and more drivers trying to utilise the higher line through 1 and 2, just trying to turn that car as little as possible.
Yeah, and we've actually got a bit of a gap forming for first place. Ashton Crowder has pulled out a nice lead over Matt Danson. So Ashton Crowder has managed to keep some of that car in reserve by the looks of it. He seems to have a completely different race car at the moment, just so much more grip and so much more
There's
confidence.
caution on track.
And well, I saw somebody going backwards across the finish line there, which is never a good thing. I'll try and figure out who that was.
Chris Purnell's made a mistake. He's going very slowly across the start-finish line. So I'm going to head back and see what exactly has occurred there for the driver, the number 920. It was coming off of turn number 4. Chris Purnell and Mitchell McLeod was side by side. McLeod on the outside, Purnell on the inside. A bit of a slide for Purnell. Got loose, rear end stepped out. Up the track he went. Squeezed McLeod up into the wall, and give me a second to analyse this one, fellas.
Sure, and we will be going into the pit lane very shortly. I imagine for everybody, they're going to take that pit stop, and they will be pretty happy about this caution because those tyres were not liking their life. 35 laps on that last stint, and they were really starting to struggle. I think the only person that's going to be a bit unhappy about this is actually going to be Ashton Crowder, who seemed to have a very good race car out on the track on those slightly worn tyres.
McLeod on the outside had a great run on Purnell coming off the corner. Unfortunately for the driver of the 40 car, Purnell, as I said, got sideways, got up into McLeod, which put McLeod in the fence. And then McLeod has come quite far down the track and got it into the right rear of Chris Purnell and sent him up into the outside retaining wall. So a bit of an interesting one there. And yeah, not sure whether that was a bit of a retaliation from Mitchell McLeod there or a bit of a correction from hitting the wall. We may never know. But it is NASCAR. You put someone on the wall, you're running a bit of a risk that you are going to get spun out yourself, even if it was an accident. As yes, you said, we are seeing drivers into the lane led by Ashton Crowder, who does hit his marks.
Yeah, hits his marks perfectly, and Matt Danson coming in just behind him as well. We'll see who gets the best pit stop out of these lot. Jason Martin, of course, was in third place as they came in. He's going to want to try and make the stop of his life, and it looks like he's made a very good stop indeed, managed to keep that third place, as Ashton Crowder retains the lead with Matt Danson behind him. Michael Skerlock seems to be in fourth place with Hayden Dodman in fifth.
Yeah, not much change throughout the top 10 there. Matthew Clute has snuck his way into the top 10. We've seen some good runs from him lately in the 54 car. Dornack's in 9th with Foster in 8th. Dave Douglas, his RCD teammate, for now, potentially. I'm rooting for Dave Douglas to get up there into the top 3 tonight. We can give it a minute view and maybe ask him about these rumours. Maybe he can put them to bed or maybe field them a bit more. But Josh Micklemore, Danny G, 5th and 6th, Dobbin in 4th, and Skerlock actually in 4th, sorry. Martin 3rd, Danson 2nd, and Crowder 1st. So it's a very interesting top 10 there.
Yes, and I imagine Crowder's going to be fighting hard for the win tonight, of course. Independence Day in America, some 243 years ago today, the Declaration of Independence was signed and penned, letting them escape from the British Empire. Damn those rebels. But they have, of course, got their Independence Day over there, and Ashton Crowder, I'm sure, would gladly start the day with a win on the Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, I'm sure he's rooting for a momentous win, for what would be a momentous win for him, winning on the 4th of July, which isn't an opportunity he gets to experience with the Peak Series. Of course, they don't run this week. I think they do run this week, but not on this 4th of July day. So, the only opportunity that Crowder's got to win a big race on America's big day, we'll look for him to battle hard. And Matt Danton, of course, he's in the championship. There's just 4 or 5 rounds to go until we get down to the chase. So points are becoming very important. Hayden Dobman, he's not got a win. And he's not too far up on the points either. So if he wants to get into the chase, he's going to need a win. He's going to need to get into the top 16 in the points. Danny G, he's without a win, is he? Correct me if I'm wrong, Carl.
I don't think Danny G has got a win so far this year. I'm trying to remember now, back into the time gone past. But I don't think Danny G's actually managed to get a win. I think he's got a feeling he's the only one of his teammates that hasn't got a win so far this season.
Well, there's a number of drivers, whatever way you put it, in that top 10 that don't have a win in this Cup Series and will be wanting to lock themselves in to the chase. With race wins, of course, so important now with the chase format. You get a win, you lock yourselves into the chase as long as you're high enough up in the points. And you get yourself a shot with that 4-round chase format we have. 4 races in the chase for us. Talladega is one of them. That's going to be a wildcard race. And then we finish off at Homestead, Miami, of course, to finish off the championship. And it's the first time we've used the chase format, I do believe, in the Cup Series in ANZCAR competition. So it's going to be very exciting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, the first time for the chase this season, so it'll be interesting to see how we go there. Importantly, I think for a few drivers, especially for Edward Foster, he managed to get a win this season, which has guaranteed him that place in the chase. Mirko Dortmund as well has got a win this season, so again, giving him the opportunity for a position in the chase this season. As we do come across coming back towards the start-finish line, the lights are out on the pace car, and we will be going back to green flag racing very shortly in the E53 ANZCAR Cup Series.
Ashton Crowder's going to get his opportunity to lead them away, and he does not do the strategy that Danson employed and hang back. He goes very early. Danson able to slot down in behind him, which is disaster for the rest of the field because they're together once again, and now Jason Martin should retain 3rd place and will retain 3rd place away from Michael Skurlock as Dodman goes side by side with Danny G for P number 5 and will take 5th place away from the 24 machine driver. And now we'll see the entire field close up as the cars come up to speed and the drive comes into play now down the back straight and into 3 and 4.
Yeah, really good start there from Crowder. He just put the gas down early and managed to pull away a bit. But what this has allowed is cars to start catching him on the end of this lap, which Jason Martin is doing. Now, Matt Danson is working as a bit of a blocker on the outside for him, just keeping Jason Martin boxed in. But he's not going to want to do that for too long because Danson could start losing positions quite quickly if he stays out there.
What we'd like to see here is Skurlock come down to the inside and give Jason Martin a push. He might, and he will, just stay up the top, but looks like Dobman wants to get to the inside of Skurlock. Was very close to his left rear bumper. No contact made. Good job for both of them as Martin's got back to the inside of Matt Danton. Almost got far enough ahead of him to clear him through 3 and 4, but not quite, as now Skurlock does look to the inside, trying to push his way past Jason Martin on the inside of the 30 car there, who's almost been hung out to dry, as Crowder's going to come up in front of him off turn number 4, give him a tow, let him clear Jason Martin. Will we see Danson dive to the inside? Yes, we will. Down to the inside, and 3 goes Matt Danson, but he can't quite get underneath Ashton Crowder. No, he's going to be hurting for speed coming off turn 4. Look for a run from the 350 of Michael Skurlock, but he's been left out to dry, so he's not going to get one. And they're all single file now again for the top 3 spots.
Yeah, Mirko Dortmund had a little bit of a mistake as we came out of that caution just on the first lap through it, as Matt Danson just gets a little bit loose coming through there, but Mirko Dortmund did cut across the grass, so a bit of a disastrous restart for him, but Matt Danson just got a bit loose and that's allowed Jason Martin to get back underneath him.
Yeah, Danson's just struggling just a little bit at the moment off this restart. Track temps come down by 4 degrees since we started this race. Don't think that's making an impact, but it could be a factor in this race as we wear on, as the track continues to cool down and track maybe faster for even longer off these restarts if we get another one in this race, as Martin's going to slot back in now behind Jason Martin and look for Hayden Dobman to get a run on the 21 machine. It's not going to be close enough to get to the inside down into turn number 3 though.
Yeah, one of the things with the track cooling down is it's just going to help these tyres just last a little bit longer. A few drivers were saying that when the clouds started to come over and it did start cooling, the cars were feeling a bit better. But we have got this fantastic battle for the lead. Jason Martin with Dodman just behind him are battling very hard and trying to get up into that sort of first and second place. With pretty much nose to back all the way down to Danny G in 7th place. They're very close at the moment.
Yeah, there's 7 cars separated by at the line. It was 0.89 of a second. Incredibly close racing. But they're all single file at the moment. Maybe protecting their tyres. Maybe no one is unable to get a run on the car in front of them. As they all Constantina back up, down through this straight, the tri-oval, almost this straight. As Dance is going to get quite close to the back of Crowder, but again, not quite able to do it. Maybe unwilling to pull the trigger on his associate there, and Ashton Crowder.
Yes, and we've got some good battling down the field, but the battle for the lead is pretty hot at the moment. There is a bit of a gap forming between P7 and P9, with Edward Foster sort of caught a little bit in the middle. But Dave Douglas is back into sort of P9 at the moment. So those two have had a very interesting night, managing to cut across the grass, have a few spins, and managed to get back up into the top 10. Fantastic driving there.
Yeah, very good driving from both those drivers. Is all head dominant. Bit of a touch on the fence coming out of turn number 2. It shouldn't affect him too much or lose some momentum for now. But in the long run, he should be all good to go. But you don't want to get into that fence. You don't want to chance it too much, because at some point, if you keep hitting that fence, you're going to hit it hard enough and you're going to put yourself out of this race.
All it takes is one tap, and it is so easy to knock one of these cars around. A fantastic battle just a bit further down with Joshua Carroll Walden. We had almost 4 cars wide for a moment there, going past Roger Clark, with Chris Purnell fighting there in sort of 15th place. So a good little battle down towards the end of the field as these guys start forming into a 1-by-1 formation.
They all checked up very awkwardly back there as Chris Purnell stood up the track, blocked in the 010 car, actually lit, and there was almost a big crash, but they all did very well to avoid it. There's been some very good driving in the field tonight as we see Mick Kilmore get to the inside of Dobman. Can't quite seal the deal, and Dobman almost shut that door with Mickelmore, his hand almost in that door. That was very close between the 31 and number 11, but a bit of a loss of momentum for the Dodman car. And Skurlock gets down to the inside, and now Mickelmore's got to run on both of them, as does Danny G coming from further back. And they go side by side down to the tri-oval, both of them cutting onto the apron there. And look for Mickelmore to maybe make it 3 wide. Dobman puts a stop to that, moves up the track just a bit to block him off, and now Skurlock's going to complete the move on the 11, but the 11's going to have a run coming off turn 2. Is he? No, he won't. So good move there for Skurlock to retake P number 4 away from the 11 car.
Yeah, and this has broken up the top 3 to the top 6 of it. Those guys from fourth place down are just backed away a bit from the fight for the front, with Jason Martin just 0.3 of a second behind Crowder, with Matt Danson in the middle of those two. Some good racing here, as we've got Michael Skurlock battling very hard with Dodman, who's just had a little bit of a moment, just had to lift, and has caused Mickelmore just to have a lift as well, and of course Danny G behind him pulling off a little bit, but Mickelmore's going to come down the inside for turn number 3, coming into turn number 4, and he's doing a very good move here. Dodman's just caught on the outside, and it's going to give Mickelmore the run. He's going to try and get through and get behind Skurlock quite quickly and try and catch up to the lead pack, but Dodman is not going to give up easily, but it looks like Mickelmore is going to make the move.
And there's change to the lead, Ashton Crowder. Matt Danson side by side, and Matt Danson's going to get ahead of Ashton Crowder and retake the lead of this race. The 30's back into the lead, and that's a good move there from Matt Danson. Through 1 and 2 to take it away from Crowder, and Jason Martin's right in behind them. So Danson probably thought, it's probably time to get away from the 21 car, my championship rival. Let's get ahead of 27 of Ashton Crowder, and he's done so. And he's opened up about a 2-car length advantage immediately from the 27.
Yeah, really nice move there from Matt Danson, who is comfortably into the chase. So those two are looking pretty good at the moment. They're going to be the favourites, of course. Those two are very hard to beat, and especially as we come to those sort of super speedways and those very fast tracks in the chase, those two are going to be a very tough force to reckon with. But Ashton Crowder is now stuck in the middle, and he's just going to try and back Jason Martin, keep Jason Martin away from Matt Danson, of course, and keep up his fight with his teammate Matt Danson too as we go through this race.
Only about 30 laps left in this race now. It's starting to get towards the end as Martin drives in very deep around the outside of turn number 1. Gets alongside the 27 car, but not really anywhere for him to go by driving in that deep, and he's just going to slot back in down the back straight to exactly the same position he was in the first place.
Yeah, these guys are going to start just falling away a little bit. We're going to see some people that were struggling on tyres earlier on start to struggle again soon as we're getting into around about the the 18th lap of the stint, so the tyres are going to start going away shortly. We're going to see those rears start to get a little bit waggly. But it looks like Jason Martin's sort of holding on very well for the moment to Ashton Crowder. He's going to try his best to make a move, because he's only going to get really one shot, sort of to get past Ashton Crowder at the moment. He's going to really try hard. He's sitting on the back of Crowder as we go through the final corner, and he's going to try and slingshot up the track, and he's just thinking better of it, sticking in the slipstream at the moment, looking towards the inside line now. Jason Martin is all over the back of Crowder.
Yeah, Martin's being caution on track.
Yeah, we've got a caution, we've got a car going around at the back of the track. Try and have a look to see who that was.
Tristan Koch down on the infield, down on the front straightaway, as he's made a mistake, probably coming off a turn.
Yeah, I'll jump back and have a look to see what's happened there, but of course this is going to lead to a few cars jumping into the pit lane very shortly.
And it's going to set up a very juicy finish. It's going to be about 23 laps to go once they go back to green. And it's going to be a sprint race to the end. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, these guys are going to be really thankful for that caution coming out now, because those tyres are going to hold off to the end of the race now, and it's going to give them a really good chance towards the end of this race for a very, very exciting finish. So we'll be looking to come into the pit lane again for another caution stop. I don't imagine anyone is going to try and roll the dice. It would be a pretty silly move to make at the moment. So we'll see everybody coming in. Matt Danson's just holding off a little bit, coming in a bit late, and they all come into the pit lane.
Good chance this is going to be the last pit stop of the day. They can certainly get to the end from here, and I dare say if another caution comes out, we may see a couple drivers roll the dice then and stay out. But for now, everyone's going to dive into the pit lane, led by Matt Danton and Ashton Crowder. They've all got to hit their marks. Jason Martin back in the back. Notoriously not hitting his marks. Does hit his marks, as does the entire field. No struggles in pit lane today.
No, everybody's had a good good stop so far today by the looks of things, which everybody will be happy for, because nobody likes making a mistake in pit road.
And Matt Danton gets a good pit stop. Will continue to lead this race, and Jason Martin's going to be second. Now, something I just noticed there. Ashton Crowder came out of his pit box very fast and then jumped on the brakes and let Jason Martin get past him. So you may wonder, why has he done that? That's a terrible move. He's cost himself a spot. He has, technically, but what it does mean that Danton and Crowder can now coordinate their start, and Crowder will be pushing Matt Danton, and that is bad news for everyone else.
Yeah, they're going to have a prime seat on this restart, but we have seen Matt Danton have a fluff up the restart a little bit tonight, a couple of times tonight. But that was, of course, with Ashton Crowder beside of him. So we might see them do a better job this time round, and hopefully we won't have anybody sort of caught off guard, and hopefully we won't have any incidents on this restart.
Yeah, so you're about 2 laps away from the green flag now. Well, we've got a bit of a break. Just to give you an update on the rest of the championship, we've got 6 rounds to go until the chase. New Hampshire is in 2 weeks' time with 150 laps around there. Then we go to Kentucky. Then we've got another road course, which I did not actually see when calling Sonoma our only road course of the year earlier in the season. We go to Watkins Glen for 45 laps. Then we're off to Darlington, a throwback race. That'll be an interesting one. And then we're off to Brickyard 200. And then almost a road course to finish off the chase. It's the Charlotte Roval. Bit of an oval, bit of a road course, a bit of everything on that track. It's a tight, twisty track. It's a recipe for carnage at some places. And then we're into the ANZCAR Chase. 4 races, 4 vastly different tracks. Talladega. That's going to be a very interesting start to the chase. Kansas, Texas, Homestead, Miami. Finishing off the championship, and that's a very juicy finish of the season, isn't it, Carl?
Yeah, we should be in for a fantastic end of the season, and hopefully the championships calculator will be operational completely for next round, so we can actually play out the championship. There has been an issue with the implementation of the new Ford, I believe it was, that has caused a bit of an issue with our championship calculating software. fret not, we will get the championship correctly done down. We just don't have it for the time being, though.
We can assure you that the points will still be accurate. Don't worry about that. It's just a bit of a delay to get them up there, as the lights are out on the pace car.
Yeah, so one more lap as they go round. So the plan is that we're going to have Ryan count up the points for the championship season through every race and replay. So he'll be busy if the championship site doesn't come up correctly.
It sounds like a job for Mr. Matt Hunter, our cameraman. Big shout out to Matt Hunter, our cameraman and our director and our producer and the man in our ear telling us lots of useless facts tonight. Big shout out, does a lot of work behind the scenes for Performance E-Streaming and for the ANZCAR as well. So always good to give a little shout out to the guys that you don't really hear or see.
Yeah, the beautiful graphics that are on your screen right now are his work. He did a fantastic job with those. As we come round, the safety car lights are out. We'll be looking to go back to green flag racing very, very shortly. It's going to be an interesting restart.
It's going to be a very interesting restart. 24 laps to go. When the green flag drops, Martin to the outside of Danton, the championship rivals, Crowder in behind him, and green flag back in the air. Danton, a fantastic start. A good start for Martin. He's got an opportunity to slide down in front of Ashton Crowder, but he's not going to take it. They're single file, the top 4 cars, and it's side by side for 5th place. Skurlock on the inside of Danny G. And now Crowder's going to get back ahead of Martin, who missed an opportunity there, and Micklemore's going to get to the inside of Martin as well.
Yeah, the Mitch Motorsport team sort of had a perfect opportunity there. All 3 of their cars were lined up in a row, and they sort of missed out on that chance to get a good draft going. But Matt Danson just dropped the hammer, didn't want to risk anything. Ashton Crowder's done a good job of keeping a second place safe. But Josh Micklemore has worked his way up, and he's sort of sitting just behind Matt Danson at the moment as we're going too wide through turn number 1.
Yeah, Crowder threw a bit of a block on Jason Martin coming across the checkered flag there. Didn't want to allow him to get to the inside or the outside of him and make it 3 wide. As now Crowder gets a good run and Danson gets all the way alongside him down the back straight. And he's going to get alongside him through 3 and 4, and he's going to be almost ahead of him coming out of turn number 4. He should be at least, and he does. He's going to get a good run, and they're going to be almost a photo finish, if that was the finish, coming across the line. They're 2 wide, the top 10, all side by side. It's almost like they've just restarted the race now.
Yeah, all the way down to P12, there's less than a second in it, which is just incredible. You sort of wonder how close it is when it's that close, within a second of each other. Jason Martin just getting squeezed out a little bit there, just going up a little bit wide, just having to drop off the accelerator a little bit, falling back behind Crowder. Matt Danson's holding down the bottom line as Danny G goes down the inside. We've got 3 wide with the Mixed Motorsport team, looking to try and go 4 wide maybe with Josh Micklemore as well. The Mixed Motorsport team are still 3 wide currently, and they've dropped back a bit. Josh Micklemore has fallen back though. He's the loser out of that little run, but Jason Martin's worked out perfectly.
They're 3 wide for the lead. They're 3 wide for the lead now. Matt Danson, Jason Martin trying to split the 2 teammates. Down through 3 and 4 they go. He's going to clear Ashton Crowder on the outside. He's going to try and block Crowder. He doesn't want to let Crowder get back to the inside, and they almost made contact, all 3 of them there. And Jason Martin will almost lead that lap, and now he will get ahead of Matt Danson through turn number 1. And now there's a caution on track. That's a big shame. This is an awesome battle.
Yeah, big shunt at the back. Looks like Hayden Dodman may have got involved in that, as well as a couple of other cars. A big shame there. Chris Purnell's got some serious damage on his car as well. I'm going to try and jump back and see what happened. And it looks like Hayden Dodman just caught the back of Purnell, who has spun round. Big shame for Chris Purnell there. That's going to be a real shame. But this has actually worked out quite well for Jason Martin. Jason Martin there just managed to get a lap led, so that was good for him. So yeah, good restart there for Jason Martin. He's going to be pretty happy with that.
That was an absolutely mega restart. The top 10, 11 cars, 12 cars separated by less than a second. Everyone side by side, 3 wide for the lead, 3 wide further back, and well, I'm really pumped for the next restart, because that's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Is anyone going to roll the dice and come in? These tyres have done around 9 laps now. About 8 of those were in green flag conditions, so there is going to be an advantage to jumping in to get some fresh tyres. Somebody might try it, and it looks like Jason Martin's going to come down and try and feign the rest of the people. And he does come in, and it's Oh, Matt Danson was caught out there. He's had to come right across the yellow lines. Jason Martin really famed it in. Matt Danson was not looking like he was going to come in, but finally does. Jason Martin leads them all into the pits.
Yeah, the entire field will dive into the pit lane. I'm interested to know whether Matt Danson will get a penalty. He was past the yellow line when he dived into the lane, so he might be done for an unsafe entry, or he might be okay. I'm not too sure how the ruling's going to work for him there.
Yeah, of course. If this with regular rules, that would have been an unsafe entry there. Of course, sometimes with the
Cloet's taken 2 tyres. Sorry to cut you off, but Cloet's taken 2 tyres. He's jumped absolutely everyone, so he's going to restart from the first position. Jason Martin has held off Matt Danson as well.
Yeah, interesting decision there by Clute. That's going to, of course, give him a bonus point. I did notice a middle finger racing car just coming down the pit lane there as I was talking. I was just questioning myself in my head there, just going, how does that work? But yeah, 2 tyres there for Clute, and that's going to be good for him. It's going to give him at least a bonus point for a lap of this race led.
Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like Matt Danson's been given any rear of grid penalties. I'm not sure what the penalty would be for an unsafe entry. I do believe it might be either a rear of grid or a drive-through penalty, or a stop-go penalty, sorry. Sorry. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Danson's escaped.
Sorry, Ryan, I thought you were going to stop there as you were coughing, but no. It will be interesting to see if anything does come of that one, because it was a very late entry for him, and very unsafe entry, realistically speaking, coming in that late. He was at a point where he shouldn't have really come in. But of course, the thing with sim racing is sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Norman Clark, I've got on my leads. So Norman Clark, I think, stayed out. Yeah, Norman Clark stayed out and is actually leading this race at the moment. But Matthew Clurt, his teammate, is in second place, effectively the lead on those fresh tyres, at least on two sides. Well, sorry, on one side of the car.
Oh, I'm so excited for this restart. We've got a Norman Clark out there. 4 old tyres from first place. Matty Kloop, 2 right side tyres from second place. And then Jason Martin, Matt Danson off the second row of the grid. I think we're going to see 4 wide for the lead of this race, because those front 2 guys, certainly Norman Clark, they're going to get absolutely run over in the field.
Well, we say that, but the thing is, with the actual tyres, as we were testing them out earlier in this race, they weren't dropping off too much on one side of the car. So it could be that Matthew Clurt has made a good decision here. Only 10 laps on the, I imagine I'm trying to think now, the inside or the outside tyres. I've got my inside and outside modelled up there for a couple of moments on my brain. But he could work out quite well in this position. Of course, he's going to have Norman Clark as a buffer and give him a little bit of an advantage, because Norman Clark's going to be leading this restart, and of course that's going to mean Jason Martin, Ashton Crowder and people like that are going to be stuck behind him. So it could give Matthew Clurt the chance to lead this race, and he might even snatch a win from here. A bit of a tall order, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
One thing that Norman Clark has got to be careful of is the tyre spin. Tyres to him may not seem that bad, but he's going to have to be stomping on that throttle pedal very fast, very hard. He's going to make sure his rear tyres don't spin out on him. He's not had a restart in this race yet on older tyres. No one has. So he's going to have to be very careful of that.
Yeah, he's really going to have to be careful, but Norman Clark is a very old head on experienced shoulders. He's not meant in a nasty way there, but yeah, he's got years of experience on him. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel of a car. If anyone could lead away a car on these worn tyres, I would say it was Norman Clark.
The field now going to get set for a dash to the end. Once more, about 14, 15 laps on the restart here. In the hands of Norman Clark as the pace car gets out of the way off turn number 4. And now he goes, he gets a good start. He's going to clear Matty Cluett. And look at Matt Danson, he's got a good start as well. And look out for Ashton Crowder. Danson's going to get to the inside of Matty Cluett. He's going to take them 3 wide, and Martin's going to lose out as a 30 slides across his nose. And now Danson's going to run out of room to go. He's going to force his way to the inside of Norman Clark off turn number 2. And Clark's losing spots now as now Jason Martin tries to make it 3 wide. Can he get a run and get alongside Matt Danson? He's not going to be able to do it. And Norman Clark's going to cut down and stop Martin from going up any higher on this track, but Cluett and Clark holding on reasonably well now as a big shot to the back of Martin. Ashton Crowder is going to get to the outside of Matt Danson now down the tri-oval.
Yeah, but Jason Martin just got squashed between Matt Danson and Ashton Crowder there. Good restart from Danson though, and the Middle Finger Racing guys are doing a relatively good job to hold pace at the moment, but it's not going to last for too long on those slightly worn tyres. They're still in position, but as we go down, we've got Ashton Crowder coming down the inside line of Matt Danson, and Jason Martin's coming down the inside of those. It looks like Jason Martin might be trying to get all the way on the inside as Ashton Crowder comes down to chop him off, stop him from moving up there. This is giving Scarlett a chance, and we've got a caution.
Another caution back in the pack. It's a bit disappointing to see it, if I'm honest with you. We've had Hayden Dodman and Riley Curtis making contact. They're both sideways and doing donuts down the just after the start finish line to get the cars pointed back the right way. And that's almost every caution in this race is unfolded back in the pack, and it's a bit disappointing that it is putting a bit of a halt on what is a fantastic race for the first, half a dozen dozen spots in this race.
Yeah, it's a real shame when the race gets broken up like this. It could be very exciting. Of course, this means another restart, though. And as it stands, Jason Martin is going to be behind Ashton Crowder. So Matt Danson's going to want Ashton Crowder to make a good restart so he can get sort of chopped down in front of Jason Martin. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. As we go back down the field, we've still got Norman Clark out there. By the looks of things, he's not come in for some fresh tyres. He's down in 6th place, so he's going to be in the middle of that sort of starting pack, which a few people are going to be a little bit wary of and not too happy with a car that's on those slightly older tyres. If this works out for them, Norman Clark could have made up some very good positions indeed, but it just depends how it's going to work out from here on out. But Jason Martin's going to be pretty happy with his position because he's going to have his teammate behind him, I believe, with Michael Skurlock behind Matt Danson. And very late call there for Ashton Crowder and Matt Danson. They were coming into the pit lane, almost in the pit lane itself, and have come back onto the track. They were almost in the pit lane there, so some very late call for those two.
Yeah, all the big guys going to stay out on track. Norman Clark does stay out. Matthew Clute does bite the bullet and come down to pit lane, so his run on the 2 tyres is going to end. But Norman Clark on the 4 old tyres is going to stay out on track and try and mix it up in the midfield there. It's going to be an interesting restart once again. None of those older tyres up in the top half a dozen spots now. It's going to be a straight fight to the end. And something we haven't seen since it's been introduced to iRacing, we haven't seen in ANZCAR is a green-white checked finish. Now this race is going to restart on about lap 105, maybe 104, 106, which is going to give us about 6 or 7 laps to the end, which means if the caution comes out after a couple of laps of racing, we're going to get our first ANZCAR green-white checkered.
Yeah, not something I want to see, so to say. Of course, I'd love to see the race run green, but at least we've got that green-white checkered, so we're not going to have a race finish under yellow, because it would be a real shame to see this one finish under caution, under the yellow flag, because we've had some fantastic racing out there.
Yeah, that's why the green-white checkered has been introduced in real life a few years ago, in fact, and why it's been brought into iRacing, because no one loves to see a race finish under caution. It's super anticlimactic and not fun for anyone but the leader of the race.
Yeah,
so it's going to be really exciting to see these races finish now. Under green, of course, ANZCAR, to update you, does have 1 attempt at the green-white checkered. If they make it back to the white flag, they'll race to the green. They'll race to the checkered, sorry. But if caution goes out before the white flag, they will end the race there.
Yeah, the only person that relishes a finish under the yellow flag is, of course, the leader, because it's pretty much a guaranteed victory for them. I believe there is a couple of instances where the leader has run out of fuel on the last lap and not finished the race first under a yellow flag condition. I'm trying to think of the actual race now, but I do remember a couple of times it's happened. But Ashton Crowder is going to be in the lead of this race as we go back to green flag racing in a lap or two.
I'm just having a look throughout the order at the moment. If there's anyone really out of position, I'm just having a look at some of the stories on this race. Obviously, Norman Clark on old tyres. He started from 28th place. He's up into 6th place, so he's had a fantastic race if he can stay up there. Mitchell McLeod, 29th to 8th. Dave Douglas, 24th to 9th. Roger Clark has come up 11 spots as well. Robert Mason's come up 8 spots. There's quite a few big movers in this field.
Yeah, some good runs for a few people out there tonight. Um, it's been an interesting race, and if Norman Clark can hold up there, he's done very, very well indeed. It'll be interesting to see how he goes on this restart. Now, of course, Norman Clark has got the advantage of knowing how this car feels under a restart on these very worn tyres. Nobody else on the field does. So we'll be interesting to see how they go on this restart with those worn tyres.
What are your tips, Carl? We're 8 laps out from the end of this race. Who's going to win it?
Guaranteed who I call to win will end up losing and then, of course, hate me for the rest of the season. But I really can't say. Between Ashton Crowder, Jason Martin, and Matt Danson, it's hard to pick between those three. But Ashton Crowder has looked very strong all race, so my pick is Ashton Crowder.
Well, I am going to throw a curveball, and I'm going to say Michael Skurlock. He's run well all race. He talked up his chances of winning. He's in a good spot. He's restarting fourth. If he can get out in front of them, anything can happen. As the pace car is going to come down turn 4 of the field, really close it up now. Everyone looking for every inch they can get in their hands of Ashton Crowder. Looking to get a restart going with 6 laps, 7 laps to go. There he goes. They check up throughout the field. Big time, and Matt Danson slots into second place as they go 3 wide further back to P number 6, and Jason Martin on the inside of Skurlock should be able to keep P3 away from him. They're going to be almost single file for top 4. 3 wide for 5th place. Danny G on the inside of Norman Clark, who's still hanging on in there. Roger Clark in behind him, and Mitchell McLeod. But back out front, it's Matt Danson with a run now to the inside of Crowder. Crowder shuts the door. No entry, says Ashton Crowder, and Jason Martin gets to the outside of Matt Danson now through 4.
Yeah, that has opened the door for Jason Martin, who is just looking to take advantage of this. He's holding to the side of Matt Danson as Matt Danson goes down the inside and Crowder goes up to the top to stop Jason Martin coming through. And it's just allowed Matt Danson to get down on the inside for a moment, get the lead as they come through. But we got Roger Clark, I think, has just gone into the wall. Big moment for Roger Clark. He's kept it going. We're still under green flag. Around he goes. And caution is out.
I was watching that wreck with you, Carl. That was a very long crash. He got up into the wall coming off turn 2 and just kept bouncing in and out the wall, doing his utmost best to save it, but in the end, he just couldn't get it done. And that means Phil's going to stack up, and I dare say we might have a green white jacket.
We may well indeed. Of course, the interesting thing would be to see if Ashton Crowder or Matt Danson pull the same trick they have for the last couple of laps of just either coming in very late for a stop or just coming almost into the pit lane and then bolting across the yellow roads markings and getting back out on track. So keep an eye on the front there. But Roger Clark just having a long crash there, as you can tell by the sharp inhalation of breath as we were waiting for the caution flag to come out. We weren't sure if it was going to come. He almost managed to save it and stop the yellow from waving, but unfortunately he went around and the caution did come.
I don't expect to see them dive into the lane. Ashton Crowder speaking as if he will. Danson isn't, and Crowder will stay out as predicted. Almost clips the grass. He made it lap late, but as I expected, everyone's going to stay out and roll around. And what the green-white checkered does do is it does add 2 laps to the end of the race. I think we may be in a situation where the race may finish with the green-white checkered within its standard finishing time of 113 laps. So it may actually give us a false green-white checkered, but 2 laps to go off the restart, nonetheless, I do think.
Yeah, we're getting close to it for sure. And a guy that's actually doing incredibly well is Norman Clark. He's in 7th position at the moment, and he's making those older tyres work for him at the moment. This caution is going to help him out a little bit too. But in all of that sort of kerfuffle at the start and all of the changing of position, he managed to keep in a strong place and didn't lose positions as some of us sort of were thinking he might. But Norman Clark has managed to keep the car up there. Currently sitting in 7th place. Fantastic drive for Norman at the moment.
Yeah, these cautions are really helping Norman Clark, and something to note, when he decided to stay out on those older tyres and not come in for a pit stop, he wouldn't have been doing it to win the race. It's more of a case you do it to improve your position. At the time, I'm not too sure where he was running, but he would have been outside the top 10, maybe about 15th to 20th. So at the moment, he's achieved his goal. He's improved his position. He's up to P7. He's got a top 10. All he's got to do is hold on for a couple of laps now.
Yeah, and I think what he was doing was, I think it was a bit of a work between him and Clerk, just trying to see if they could possibly scramble a win for the team there. just as a bit of a dice roll and just to see how things go. Because of course Clark came out on those two fresh tyres and was sat with Clark on the front of the track, so he sort of was sacrificing himself for a teammate. But it appears his strategies worked out better than his teammates, who are sitting quite far down the field now.
So we are still single file. We're going to get the lights out in the pace car next time by. So what we will get is 2 laps to go to the finish, which is effectively a green white check-in. But what it does mean is that we can afford to have a caution this time and not finish the race because it's not an official green white check-in finish. Just to give you guys an update on that one.
Yes, the rules and regulations of motorsport, always a complex thing, and can always sort of make it tricky to understand sometimes, so we have to be on top of that. A couple of other guys that are doing well. Mitchell McLeod is currently running in 8th place as well. He's gained 21 positions, so he would have started side by side with Norman Clark, who's also gained 21 positions, so a really good run for those two.
Yeah, number of guys with a big run, number of guys looking to maybe make it 1 or 2 spots better. Martin, Mickelmore, Skerlock and Danny G, they've been up front all race long. Can they improve their position later on this?
Yeah, those Mitch Motorsport guys are going to want to try and get this win because they've been running very well all race. And another person is Skerlock. He's been running extremely well. His car's looked strong. He's not looked slow at any part of this race. All of these sort of top 5, top 6 guys have been up there all race long. Really, the only person to drop a bit off of the sort of the leaders was Dodman and Stove Price Jr., the pole sitter. Those two have sort of dropped out a bit of this front running pack, but the rest of them have stayed in position pretty much. So I do imagine that with the Mitch Motorsport guys are going to want to try and get a victory, if something, from this race, but it's going to be hard to snatch from Danson and Crowder.
If Crowder can get a good jump and Danson can find a gap in front of Jason Martin, I don't think they're going to be beaten. It's going to be one of those two guys that wins this race. But if Martin or Mickelmore can get their nose, get their car in front of one of these cars, anything's going to be on the cards. And as in motorsport, anything and everything can and most probably will happen as the pace car peels off of turn number 4. Maybe, probably the final time today. Danson's ahead of Crowder. Now Crowder's ahead of Danson. Crowder goes. Danson slots in behind him, and Martin's not going to like that. They're going to be single file for the top 2 positions. Martin's going to clear Mickelmore. Almost contact between the teammates. I'll look for them to close up now, coming down off turn number 2. It's Crowder by a car length with a lap and a half to go. Look at Danson. Look at Martin. Martin's going to give a push to the back of Danson. Danson's going to get a run. He's going to go to the outside of Crowder. Crowder tried to cover him off, but he couldn't do it. And our 30 car to the outside of the 27 through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time today. It's still Aston Crowder with half a car length over Matt Danson. Jason Martin in 3rd place, looking for any way to go. Can he make it 3 wide into turn number 1? He can't quite get close enough. And now Mickelmore's got to run as well. He's going to get a big push to the back of Matt Danson. Crowder's cleared Danson for now. He's going to want to slide up in front of him down the back straight, but he leaves them room. Teammates racing well now, blocking out anyone coming from behind. It's still Crowder by about a nose. Danson trying to get to his outside, trying to get a run, trying to get something happening off turn 2. There's almost contact, but it's going to be Aston Crowder that comes across the line and takes the checkered flag. Crowder wins by a nose over Matt Danson. Martin in P number 3 and Josh Mickelmore. Mickelmore took P3, my bad, and Martin in 4th.
0.02 second, so nothing in it there. Nothing in it at all. Jason Martin finished 3rd. Not even a tenth of a second between those top 3. Fantastic finish there. Fantastic win for Ashton Crowder. He's going to be absolutely ecstatic about that. Matt Danson's going to probably feel a little bit robbed there, but he's still going to be happy with that position, no doubt. Jason Martin got caught a little bit there. Josh Mickelmore, of course, getting up to 3rd place. Fantastic job for him. Sorry, my things have played up a little bit. But yeah, really good job for those guys. Norman Clark ended up finishing in 8th place with Mitchell McLeod in 7th, so a very good run for those two as well.
Keep talking, Carl. I'm out of breath.
Yeah, that was a bit of a long haul there. So yeah, Ashton Crowder is going to do the donuts, and I'll run us through our top 10 places. So Ashton Crowder, of course, got the win with Matt Danson second. Josh Micklemore is third with Jason Martin in fourth place. In fifth, Danny G with Michael Scullop in sixth. Mitchell McLeod in seventh with Norman Clark eighth. Ninth, we had Edward Foster with Robert Mason in 10th place. A really good run for Robert Mason as well, who was in the wars for a bit of that race. He managed to get that car back up there and into 10th place. So, really good run from him. Norman Clark, Mitchell McLeod getting their cars up into the top 10 from out of the top 10 starting positions.
And yeah, Norman Clark able to hold on for P8. Very good job from him. That was a very close finish. Matt Danson just couldn't get it done over Ashton Crowder, who, well, you called it. He was going to win the race, and he did win the race. That's now 2 in a row for Ashton Crowder in the Cup Series after his dominant performance in Chicagoland. And overall, the Cup Series has turned it on once again for an absolutely breathtaking finish. Literally, breathtaking.
Yeah, your first time having to call a finish like that, I think, and it does take the breath out of you quite quickly. What a fantastic victory there, and great to see. This is the kind of racing that we were expecting on these ovals, and it's the kind of racing that we absolutely love. The top 10 sort of finished very close to each other there, with barely a sort of second and a half between them, and it just is such close racing. When you get a finish like that, the adrenaline starts to pump, not just for the drivers in the cars, but for everybody watching. What a fantastic win for Ashton Crowder.
It certainly was. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drag our race winner, Ashton Crowder, up into the booth. Ashton Crowder, it's Ryan Jones up here in the Performance East Streaming booth. Congratulations. Back-to-back wins in the Cup Series. You just managed to hold off Matt Danson at the end.
Yeah, thank you. I I've raced this track quite a lot in the past like 2 weeks, so I kind of knew what to expect. I'd say a little bit more than others, so that played into my advantage. I'd say a good bit, but yeah, I figured on I think second or third run that I'd just kind of lay back and save my tires, and the one where I fell back to like eighth or something. I figured I'd just save my tires and try to, just be faster at the end and not make like a superhero move or anything like that. And that ended up working, which a bit surprised to be honest. It kept a lot of grip in the right rear tire. Actually, probably more in the left rear than anything, but yeah, it just kept a lot of grip and went fast at the end. But yeah, just great racing and good run down to the line. I had to kind of open up the steering wheel and try to wreck Danson out of four to keep him behind me, but he didn't wreck, and I finished first, so it worked out good enough. But it was pretty dangerous. But yeah, I'm just really excited.
It was an absolute grandstand finish. We had a couple of false starts with some late restarts, but you guys did very well. And something we noticed earlier on in the race, yourself and Matt Danson, I'm not too sure if you're officially teammates or not teammates, but we did see almost looked like you were working together. Or was that sort of a set plan, or was it more of a case of you couldn't really pass each other?
No, yeah, we're on the same how do you describe it? I guess unofficial team. Siltman Crowder Racing. It's like where we get our setups and everything. Me and Dave Siltman and Christian Chandler and Seth the Merchant like building setups. With that, but official team with like the NBC stuff. Not technically teammates, but we're technically teammates. But definitely in here though, we were working together the whole time. I actually to keep us ahead, I didn't brake check, but I guess I throttle checked anybody that was in third in my lane, so we could stay side by side and basically side draft each other into three, and that would disrupt the air really bad for anybody behind us, and we could pull out to like 2/10. So it was a little dirty, I guess, but it's just kind of the games you have to play, unfortunately. But yeah, though, nonetheless, we are teammates and worked quite well. We got a 1-2, so real happy.
It was a good, technically team, but technically not team strategy from you guys tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that term whenever I describe you two now in tandem. Before I let you go, then, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to on this 4th of July?
Nah, all me. No, I'm joking. you know, MVC, NASCAR America, Burton Kligerman Esports, you know, everybody over there, Parker, Jeff Burton, not Logan Clampett. But yeah, Matt, just you know, everybody at Sylvan Crowder Racing doing big time work, doing a lot of laps. I kind of burnt myself out pretty good and got a little bit upset, but I think we found what we were missing in peak, so hopefully we can make gains on that. But you know, you guys were doing the broadcast league, let me run in here because I actually learn, I would say, way more in here than I do in anything else. I don't know 100% why that is, but I find myself taking a lot like that I learn in here into peak and like making moves. I had to make a big balls move on Dylan Duval and Ray Alfala in 1 and 2 at this track like a week and a half ago, and I learned that from I forgot which track it was, but just gave me the confidence to do it and pulled it off. So yeah, just big thing.
Well, congratulations, mate. You drove a really good race. You brought home a technical team 1-2 finish. Congratulations. We'll talk to you later on. We'll probably see you in the booth next week. Go celebrate with your teammate. Technically.
Appreciate it.
That was Ashton Crowder, technically teammate to Matt Danson.
Yes, one would use the old Facebook term of "it's complicated" between those two, I imagine.
Well, bit of a long interview that one, so we've got time for 2 quick interviews. Take your pick, Carl. There's plenty of drivers up there waiting for an interview.
Well, I might just grab our third place man, Josh Micklemore, down for a quick chat. I haven't seen him in the booth for a while, so we'll just grab Josh Micklemore. Josh Micklemore, Carl Withy here, Performance E Streaming. Congratulations on the third place. How are you going?
Yeah, pretty good. How about you guys?
Yeah, pretty good actually. Ryan almost lost his voice to the end of that race. Fantastic ending for the viewers. Good finish for yourself. How was the race for you?
Yeah, it was a bit of an up and down race for me. Mid race, I sort of put a bit too much heat in the rear tyres and sort of dropped back a little bit. But yeah, after the first, after that next restart, I sort of just watched, make sure I didn't, push it too hard and drift it, and not put too much heat in the rear tyres, and it was fine after that. So.
Yeah, it was a good race for you, for you and your team, of course, as well, all night. We did see quite a lot of a bit of fighting between you guys. Were you really sort of trying to nip at the heels of your teammate tonight?
Oh yeah, we're all just because we're teammates. We've still got to have a good little battle it out, sort of thing. So yeah, thought we'd turn it up for everyone that's watching as well. So it's all good fun.
You put on a fantastic show, all three of you. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight?
Yeah, the other boys, Jason and Daniel, they're doing pretty good. Happy where we're going with the team. Yeah, BK Designs for a sponsorship, and yeah, you guys for taking out your time to stream the race for us.
Thank you so much, Josh. I'm sure we'll see you in the booth again at some stage towards the end of the season.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully next week.
Josh Micklemore there for Mitch Motorsport. Yeah, good race for him, getting up into third place at the end. Their team held pretty strong. They pretty much had, well, every position other than first and second in the top five. A really good, strong finish for those third, fourth, and fifth. So yeah, great job for Mitch Motorsport there.
Yeah, very good race for Mitch on the sport, and I think we've got one last interview to come. We'll grab our second place man, Matt Danson, and see what his thoughts are on that finish. Matt Danson, Ryan Jones up on the booth. Congratulations. Second place today, also close to Ashton Crowder. What are your thoughts on that finish?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of a product of the racing, which is really fun, mind you, with the new package. But he had to get a bit dirty at the end there, trying to put me up in the fence. But it was good hard racing.
Yeah, we saw that bit of contact. I wondered whether you're going to get up under the fence. We did a good job to keep it off the wall and keep going to get that second place finish. We saw you working well with Ashton Crowder early on in the race, which we touched on with Ashton, where we learned the term of technically teammates but technically not teammates. What do you think you need to do to find that extra 200ths of a second to beat Crowder?
Well, I think I led the most laps. I had him hosed. I don't know what he was saying. If he reckoned that he was pacing himself or whatever. He had the one good run. I got a little bit loose, sort of buzzed the rear tires a little bit, which wasn't ideal. But other than that, pretty confident I had the pace on him. Yeah, we're teammates. He's the boss. His name's on the back of the car. But obviously when we're on the track, we're still trying to beat each other. So there was no countdowns or anything like people think. But honestly it was lots of fun. But next time I'll just not be so nice. I'll just make sure I drive him right up in the wall.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing that unfold. And before we let you go, we're running out of time. But Carl, any last questions for Mr. Danson?
Yeah, hey Matt, how you going?
Not too bad, thanks. How are you, Carl?
Not bad, not bad. So yeah, it was a bit of a tough. It was a bit of a long race out there. What did you feel when you had two middle finger racing cars in front of you at the? I think it was the second to last restart.
I just thought I don't know if you guys watch basketball, but I just thought barbecue chicken. They were it was dinner time. They weren't going to stay there too long. I just knew I had to get in front of Jason and that and scurry off. But then we had people wrecking all over the field. I didn't seem like it was happening in the top 10, so it was a bit frustrating for the wrecks to happen back in the field. But that's sort of what happens. But it was it was lots of fun actually. I had a good night.
Wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. Anyone anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight, Matt?
Yeah, no shout out to Ashton tonight, but I'll give a shout out to the rest of Siltman Crowder. Braden, he couldn't be here tonight. Actually, he won the Road to Pro Daytona race, which if anyone is keenly following that whole situation, it's a very big deal. Vegan Food Melbourne, make sure you check them out on Instagram for all your vegan delights. The dancers, the fan club, you guys putting on the stream and commentating and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing how many times Jason was mentioned as well, Carl.
Not many.
Nice. And ANZCAR as a whole. I think the league just continues to go strength to strength, and it's lots of fun every single week. So thank you to everyone who puts that on.
Thank you so much, Matt. I made sure to mention him at least one more time, and I mentioned you.
Oh, fantastic.
Have a good night, Matt.
See you guys.
Matt Danson there. So, Ryan, what a fantastic finish to the race.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race, as always, put on by the Cup Series drivers. I think, yeah, it was an absolutely grandstand finish. Had a couple of false starts, as I mentioned, but we got there in the end. We got a 2-lap dash to the end, and it was a very close battle between Crowder and Danson. Maybe a bit of a sore spot there for Danson with Crowder when we get to New Hampshire in 2 weeks' time. So we'll follow that one with keen interest next time out.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, and it was good to see some new faces up at the front of the field for the start. It's going to be interesting to see how they progress through the season as it continues. It will be interesting to see if they can turn that raw speed into a little bit better results as the season goes on. So I'll be looking forward to that one.
Well, that's all we got time for tonight. It has been a fantastic race. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did up here in the booth. From myself and Carl Withy, thank you and good night, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time for New Hampshire.